Hey everyone, I'm Brian, and I'm here with my review of issue 192 of Sonic the Hedgehog, which is the end of my current subscription. But when I got this yesterday, like probably all of you have gotten, I also got the notice to renew, and as you have noticed, we can now renew. I don't know how long it's been, but we now can renew for a whole year's worth of Sonic, which I did. So starting next month, I'll be doing my 12 issue subscription, which will go from October to September. But anyway, we start out with the preview pages that we saw on the internet, on the sites of Archie Comics and Mobius Forum and all that, with the fight between Scourge and Scourge and Sonic and Metal Scourge and all that. And you all know how that is, because we all read that, so let's just speed ahead. And then we go to the other pages that were previewed, to where we find out, to where Dimitri basically, first of all, tells Eggman, hey, he's impressed with how the Doctor was able to make these two robot duplicates of Sonic and Scourge, but yet has not had the time to rebuild a new Badniks army, if you will, a new army for himself to supplement the Dark Legion. In other words, Dimitri's saying, hey, you've had time to do these guys, but yet you have not had the time to build an army that can supplement and back up the Dark Egg Legion. And basically, Eggman finally reveals, and while he says that, he also tells the Doctor, hey, I will not, and that he basically reminds the Doctor, hey, the Legionnaires are his people, the last of the Echidnas alive, some of the last Echidnas alive, and he will not allow them to be used so easily or carelessly. And then that's when Eggman kind of tells him, oh, on the contrary, I plan on using every last bit of them, seeing as though there's so few of them, and then he hopes they're not used up too quickly. And then he just goes on to tell Dimitri and reveals to him, hey, if you got any other complaints, talk to the explosives he's put in the 7X. In other words, Eggman saying, hey, I'm not taking any chances with these Echidnas or this Legionnaire or even you. I'm going to use you as much as I can, because if you don't do what I say, I could just press a button and you'd be blown up. And then that's when Dimitri kind of says he's not really surprised, and then leaves, because he now understands the situation. And then as he leaves, Eggman's telling him to prepare the Legion for the next push from the Freedom Fighters, the Chaotix. And Dimitri, as he walks off into the shadow, floats off into the shadows, kind of says, yes, we must prepare for the next threat. In other words, he's not referring to the Freedom Fighters of the Chaotix, he's referring to Dr. Eggman. Now we go back to the fight with Sonic saying, hey, we got to push these guys away from Freedom HQ into the Great Ways. Scourge is saying, hey, I'm not giving them an inch. Fiona asks if they need help. Scourge is saying, hey, you don't think I can handle this? And Sonic's basically got to translate. She's basically got to translate to Scourge. She's saying things are getting tough, and you could use a hand. And Sonic's like, well, kind of admits to him honestly, it's like you're completely new at this. And Scourge has got to tell him, hey, back on my world, there are no metals. There are no metal versions of ourselves. So I'm not used to it. And then we go to seeing, and then he tells Sonic thanks for the save, but tells him not to return the favor as Metal Sonic attacks Sonic. And then we go to Miles and Boomer, and Boomer kind of saying, hey, you got that look on your face again. And Miles says, look on his face again, asking what's on his mind. He says curiosity, and that while he's kind of content watching both Sonics beleaguer each other or beat each other into nothing, that he can't help notice that Sonic Prime, our Sonic if you will, he can't notice his selfishness, and that he's wholly committed to the greater good regardless who's involved. In other words, Miles is noticing that Sonic is willing to do what's right no matter who he's got to team up with to do it, or who he's got to say. Now Alicia says, hey, you got to be careful what you say in front of him. It has an act of treason to it. or a trig of treason to it, and that and Alicia also says you got to remember that he's seen it all, and you know you don't want to cross Scourge. And Patch is like, basically says yes, because I remember when this eye patch was just for show. In other words, now that eye patch, he has to wear that eye patch because Scourge took his eye. I guess, I don't know. And then Miles is like, treason, Alicia? Treason, Alicia? You know, he just basically tells her, I'm just observing the fact that with Sonic involved, it wouldn't take much to tip the war between the Suppression and the Freedom Fighters and the Chaotix in either direction. Now we go back to the Legions, back to the Egg Dome and the Legions barracks, or whatever you want to call them. Dimitri kind of grabs Nina Da, asking her to come here for a moment, checks her cybernetics and says, you know, Eggman wasn't bluffing, that there's a bomb. Alicia kind of questions, bomb? And he says, yes, in all of us. And then basically what happens is they have an argument a little bit where she says, you're the one that sold yourself out to Eggman first, and that this is all your fault, but then he has to correct her saying, hey, I went to him as an ally against Urachek. You're the one, Lina Da, that sold the Legion to Eggman for your cursed cybernetics. Don't lay this at my feet. And then basically she asks him, what do we do? You're not surely going to turn the knuckles at this point. And Dimitri says, no, not yet. But since he is the Grandmaster of the Legion, and Lina Da is the last of his family, or the last that he has of his family around him, with the exception of Julie Sue, I don't know if what that's going to... Well, you get what I'm saying. That he will think of something. And now we go back to the fight between the Metal Scourge and Sonic. And Sonic says, hey, and you know, and Scourge is basically like, hey, I hate getting whooped like this. Sonic's like, hey, the last time I was involved in something similar, I had my friends help me out. And Scourge is like, oh, you don't mean... And he says, hey, it's your team. You make the call. Either we get whooped, or you get them to help us. And then that's when Scourge crosses for the special card to attack. The fight is on. They beat up the Metals, as you can see. And after that's all said and done, Scourge kind of asks him, Scourge kind of says, now back to my offer. In fact, and he points out that Sonic never said no. And Sonic says, that's because basically Sonic's telling him because he was too disgusted for words, and that Scourge is even sick that he'd even consider doing, you know, accepting that offer to rule the multi-universe. And he says, hey, it's your loss. You still want to try to kick us out? You know, at a Freedom HQ? And he says, and Sonic just runs along saying, nah, consider this a loan on your lease. Or an extension on your lease, you know, for a little longer. And Scourge is like, yeah, can't nobody take down the king. And Fiona's like, you tell him, baby. But you can see in the background, Miles is like, he doesn't like this at all. And there's something going on. You can see in the background. Now we go back to the castle on New Metropolis, and Elias is like, you know, hey, I don't mind you doing personally what you did, but I can't let you blow us off without any consequences. And Sonic's like, hey, listen, Elias, I did what I had to do because I was in the right. Basically tell him he would have done the same thing if he was in Sonic's place. And, you know, Eliza tells Sally jokingly, I can't understand how you dated him for so long. And Sally's like, well, his thick-headedness has a charm. But anyway, Eliza tells Sonic that the punishment is that Sonic's going, from the Acorn Council, is that Sonic's going to lead the next mission into Mobius. In other words, he's going to take, you know, somebody with him into Scourge's world and invade it, to kind of give him a taste of his own medicine and see how they react. And that's all I can say about the first story, and I will be back with my review on the second story.